I had like the Masked Singer thing last time.
Yeah.
But I have no ideas for cold opens like at all anymore.
Yeah, I think the best types of cold opens. I think damn it, yeah, we did miss that because I feel like the best cold opens are usually like the sort of like we're just talking before we start recording, just kind of bullshitting, and usually there'll be one thing that someone says that's funny, and then that's just like boom, there it is. There's a cold open. Right. But now that we're
were you recording
of it,
your audio? Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was recording my own audio on my own end.
Were you, Dagan?
No.
Okay.
All right, let's recreate
Could
it.
have been salvageable. Okay. How do you full screen?
How do you do a full screen again?
Wow, is this... Yeah, let's just... Hey, we're all good enough actors. We can reenact that, can't we? Well, I mean, if we're really in the Matrix, we could just rewind and replay that, right?
That's true.
Okay, do it.
Okay. Well, I might wake up.
Which
So
F key is it for
if
that?
I do that, then I'll wake up and I'll get flushed down the fucking human toilet tube.
Yeah, how petty is the Matrix? Where it's like Agent Smith is just like he sees Dagan full screen something. He's like, he's awake, and it's just like all of your friends and family just like and turn into agents, and it's just like all because you learned how to hit F11 to full screen something.
You have unlocked F11, Mr. Anderson.
You're just like, I wish I could make this video bigger. Click.
Oh fuck, that'd be good.
Well, there's a cold open.
No, I was gonna say that kind of works.
Yeah, it's a Crown Black and ginger beer.
Oh,
Is that like an iteration of Crown Royal?
Yeah, it's Crown Royal Black. They have like peach, vanilla, apple, and then black. I guess it's just like they're darker. But I'm solely buying Crown because I'm using the bags as camera or lens bags now.
Oh, sweet.
Actually, hold on.
I prefer Crown broth.
It's Crown broth.
Chicken
These
broth.
These are my lenses now.
Just
These
go
are
to Norman
the bags.
Camera. That's the most expensive way to get camera equipment I've ever seen. You just gotta
Royal
buy
should
a
sponsor
whole
us.
bottle. Yeah.
Crown Royal should sponsor us now because I use lens bags.
I used those to hold my Nerf darts back in the day.
No,
Yep.
it was like a coincidence because I've never bought a fifth of Crown Royal. I don't think ever, but I've drank it before. I like Crown, but I've never gone out of my way to buy a fifth just because they're stupid expensive.
What is Crown
And-
Royal? I don't think I've ever had it.
It's just whiskey.
It's just whiskey.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
just
whiskey?
whiskey.
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was like some sort of like exotic, like, oh, it's oh, it's just whiskey.
It's like
Oh,
a
okay.
Grey Goose or something.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like it's nothing super fancy, but it's solid.
It does
Gets
the
job done. Type
Yeah,
of-
exactly.
yeah.
No,
whiskey.
I was just randomly. Why did I buy that? I don't know. I was just at the corner store down the street, and I was like, I just want some whiskey so I can make whiskey mules. And Crown Royal was the first thing that I saw, and I was like, I haven't had that in a while, so I bought it. And the same day I had ordered a lens, and it came in the mail that same day. And so I had the bag because the bottles, it's weird.
So you got a chocolate and peanut butter situation on your hands.
Exactly. They come. The bottles come in a box, but then inside the box is the bag that has the fifth in it. So they're super bougie with that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I never knew what it was because they had so many layers of like obfuscation that I'm just like,
It's so
in a
top
box and
secret.
it's in a bag. This has to be something that's like beyond normal liquor. And then it's like,
This
oh,
is
it's just
above
whiskey.
my pay grade. I can't handle this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the barrier for entry there.
Yeah. So then I saw the bag and I was like, oh, this is. I was thinking about how like stupid. I guess just the economy in general is, and I was like, Crown Royal can use their resources to make a decent bag, and just knowing people are gonna throw it away because like 9 times out of 10, nobody's gonna keep that fucking bag. They throw it away with the box, and Crown Royal knows that making that bag, and I was just like, that's such a waste of materials
You
and
feel
resources for
fancy.
the planet.
You feel fancy for like 30 seconds, and then you're like, what am I going to do with this shit?
Yeah, it was like, this is, you could spend this money on fucking something so much better than making. There's a whole fucking factory out there somewhere that just makes Crown Royal bags, and that's it. That's all they do. That's employing hundreds of thousands of people. And
it's the most pointless job in the world.
Seriously,
so. Job creation.
And then so I was like,
job creation.
I'm gonna put these people's hard-earned money, their hourly wage, to use, and put my expensive lenses in them. And it's great protection.
That's basically recycling.
It's more use than most people are giving them, really.
Honestly, yeah. So, in other words, I'm drinking expensive piss.
I mean,
that's legitimately one of the reasons I don't get Crown Royal is because, like, yeah, I don't want to throw. It feels dirty throwing that in the trash, but like, I'm not gonna keep it.
Right? Yeah. That's like
people probably store like buy their weed in it.
Well, I know somebody who does that. I know somebody who puts all their weed goodies in the bag, like the green and then the grinder.
They're like color coordinated.
Yeah, they like. That's what I'm doing with the lenses. I'm color coordinating the lenses. But that's what I know somebody who just has a Crown Royal Apple bag that they just put all their weed stuff in. It's fucking awesome.
See, I feel like we're inadvertently doing marketing for Crown Royal. Like, we say how pointless it is, but then we're like, but it's so convenient to put shit in.
It's worth it to buy a $40 fucking sack that you can put weed or camera lenses in.
Or Nerf darts.
Or Nerf darts.
Yeah.
That's 3 things already. There's another cold open.
Yeah. That can be this. It'll just be this episode is just gonna actually be like a series of like meta reference like cold opens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you 6 cold opens, man. Here we go. Just 6 in a row.
I got them on off the dome, dude. I can cold open off the dome like anybody with the best of them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of There Will Be Duds. I am your co-host, TJ, a.k.a. J-Spot Jack Cheese, and with me, as always,
I am Nick, a.k.a. Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with me, as always,
first time as a third, not a fourth, is Teegs, a.k.a. Teegs on everything and nothing. Thank you. Bye.
And this week we watched 2 movies instead of 1.
That's crazy.
I thought I could do something more with that, but no, that's it. The first of which is The Animatrix, directed by a bunch of different people from 2002 or 2003, right at the heyday of the original Matrix trilogy. It is an anthology film comprised of a bunch of short stories that take place in the Matrix universe. The backstory, I believe, is like obviously the Wachowskis are big fans of anime, big fans of like Japanese cinema, as their as all of their movies, not just the Matrix movies, are very influenced by that style. So they got a bunch of popular anime directors in studios and got except for a couple, I believe just let them kind of take the, they gave them the reins and were like, hey, make a story in our universe, please.
Here's the world, play with it.
Yeah. And to varying degrees of success in my eyes. My overall take, and I'm not doing my end cap thing here, but my overall take is that I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I definitely think there's more positive than not, but I still think as a whole, as a complete package, I enjoy it a lot. Despite the faults, despite the couple that... There's one in particular that I really don't like, and then there's a couple that I'm like, eh, and then there's a few that I'm like, I really like. But I think overall, it's always a good experience to revisit this movie. I've seen it maybe like 5 times now. So not as much as some of the earlier Matrix movies, but I've seen it quite a few times. So what do you guys think? You guys had either of you seen this before?
Maybe like through osmosis, like I'd be over at like Isaac and Evan's house because they were super into the Matrix when it came out. I remember like I think it was like one of Isaac's birthday parties was around 2004, and like they were either watching one of the Matrix movies or they were watching like the Animatrix. So I might have seen the final fight, the final flight of the Osiris, that 3D animated opening. That's like the most familiar thing to me, where it's like they're fighting in the dojo, and that's the wink, the little like pulling the that's like as far as I can remember from that time period. But no, I've never seen it before other than this.
Yeah, I'd never seen I'd never even heard of the Animatrix before you told me about it, TJ, when I borrowed that DVD from you. I didn't know that was a thing until you told me about it. And then honestly, even though I had the DVD borrowed from you, I still watch it on HBO Max.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because you were talking about the order of it earlier, and I was gonna say that, but yeah, I haven't seen I haven't watched the actual DVD. I just watched it on HBO Max, but I had no idea it was a thing. I just
Okay.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, I think I prefer the DVD. I don't remember the exact order. Like I said, I know what it starts with. I know what it ends with. Thing that bugs me about the HBO one is it knocks out the best one right away, because the Second Renaissance, I think, is the crowning achievement of this anthology. I fucking love that. That's the one that like that's why I was like really pushing Travis to see this, because, and I don't know, maybe he I don't know if he would feel the same way about it as me, but like I love the Second Renaissance. Like I don't know how it would. It's hard to like extrapolate these and rate them all as, you know, against like our normal scale, right? Because like as a feature film, would any of these work? They're all really simple stories, which I think works for them. So it's like hard to be like, you know, if the Second Renaissance was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't know if I would feel this strongly about it, but I love the Second Renaissance. I like. We're so inundated with world building and backstory and like you have to know every in and out for every character in the Marvel universe and Star Wars and all that, and it's so like it bogs you down. But I think because this was at a time where that wasn't the case, and I think because it's done so well, it really makes you empathize with the machines, and it just like it's one of those tales of like, yeah, humanity sucks, and like this all makes sense, it all tracks, and like there's every time I watch it, it's like I love it, but there's just this sense of dread that just I feel the entire time, because I know where it's going, and it's so dark. It does not shy away from like how dark it gets.
Yeah,
like
both
it ends with the
figuratively and
kid.
literally, with like the clouds and like the artificial darkness.
That too. Like I think they say that in like a throwaway line in the first one, that like people did the cloud thing, but like every time I get to that scene, I'm like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You idiots.
Yeah.
That was the I feel like Renaissance 1 and 2 were the main reasons for the Animatrix, because they didn't explain them in either of the sequels, the follow-up movies. I feel like they needed the Renaissance Part 1 and 2 to explain like the backstory, and that like that throwaway line, which is weird that it's a throwaway line when they just said when the humans made the sky go dark. I think they mentioned that like once or twice in the trilogy, and they didn't say much more about it. So they don't give much backstory about how humanity got to the point that they are now, to where the Matrix is a thing, besides that like monologue in the first movie. And so like seeing all that backstory of like not just how the sky got dark or went dark, but years before that, about how like robots, the what do they call them, the machines, how they started, and then how they got to the point of war with machines, and then how humanity decided that was like their end game, was making the sky go black, and then how the machines also overcame that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The one thing I do want to mention is when Trinity and Neo, this isn't the Animatrix, this is one of the movies, when they went above the clouds, that scene that you guys really like and I love too. Yeah. I just think it's a funny concept of it's a giant fuck you by the machines, that they could easily just go above the clouds and build cities probably floating above the clouds and get all their like solar panel needs from above the clouds, but they decide to stay underneath the clouds and just fucking tear apart humans.
Well, maybe because the reason that they do that in Revolutions, because I had to rewatch it because not the whole thing, I just watched that part, but because Kalia never finished it, but she wanted to watch it before we got to Resurrections. And by the way, that part still gave me chills just watching
it's
that
good.
little
It's
snippet.
Good. It's good.
so good.
But the whole reason they go up above there is because the clouds are it's like a constant thunderstorm, and that kills the machines because they're like covered in sentinels, and they're like go up. So they go up.
Yeah. Okay.
It kills the sentinels, and then it kills their ship too, and that's why they crash afterwards.
Okay.
So that's
never mind.
Okay.
But
okay.
that makes
Right.
it even better though. That makes it that much better. That like half a second you see of the sun above the clouds is like so pure because nothing can exist above that.
mm-hmm.
That's fucking
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, no, the Renaissance 1 and 2 is fucking definitely my favorite out of these shorts, and it sucks that it does start out with those two.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I mean, it might as well have started with those two because on like the Blu-ray copy, it's Final Flight of the Osiris, and then it's Renaissance 1 and 2. So it's like they're like second in order. But I think from a like storytelling / narrative, I think Detective Story and Kid Story are my two favorites. Detective Story,
I like
might be
Detective
my
Story a lot.
but just because I like that sort of like cyberpunk noir genre. And
Yeah.
like the way that it's animated is
Well-
also very cool. But I think
I wanted to.
go ahead.
I just wanted to bring this up because if you haven't seen it, because it's directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who did Cowboy Bebop, so
Wait,
maybe
the
that's
Detective Story is?
he did both Detective Story and Kid Story. And if you like Detective Story and you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, it's just another recommendation. For,
Maybe-
like, that is.
That makes
Oh,
so much
shit.
sense now. That makes
that's so
much
funny. Is like that I liked both of them, and they were both made by the guy who made Cowboy. Oh, holy shit, that's funny.
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
I think, but yeah, like you were talking about, like how everything nowadays has such an expanded lore, and we have to have miniseries upon miniseries. I think that's what makes the second Renaissance so good. Is that I feel like where in the original trilogy, most of the second and third movie, whenever they talk about any of this shit, it's just one character dumping dialogue on another character. And the fact that like the second Renaissance, and obviously they get a little bit of more leeway because it's animation and it's easier to do that kind of stuff in animation versus like scenes with real people, you know, sets, all that kind of shit. I was like, God damn, it made me think of, weirdly enough, Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like the original Sonic games are like considered some of the greatest platformers of all time. And then they started making 3D Sonics, and they just kind of got diminishing returns. And then there was Sonic Mania that came out a few years ago, and it was entirely fan-made levels. And it's like incredible, but it's like that classic 2D platformer Sonic. And it's almost like not that like the Wachowskis are bad and like they can't tell a story, but it's like if you leave it up to like fans and like creative people, you can almost make your story even better when someone else takes it and it's like fresh eyes who haven't written the whole thing.
Yeah,
because like the way that they did the backstory of everything, it's very like Philip K. Dick or like I don't know who wrote I, Robot. Was that Asimov?
That's Isaac Asimov.
Will
That's
Smith.
what I was. Yeah, yeah, Will Smith. Yeah, no, the second Renaissance totally is very because the whole thing that kicks it off is the robot like killing its master or whatever, and that's like the whole kind of like focus of iRobot.
Was the robot's name supposed to be Bigger?
I don't know.
It's B166ER. It looks like the word Bigger. I don't know if that was intentional, but I was like, oh,
maybe
because it looks like
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
no,
like
it's go ahead.
the Jesus, I just already forgot what I was gonna say. No, it's not there. Sorry.
It's gone.
Yeah, I want to talk about the other ones too, but like, and maybe we should just like try to come back to the second Renaissance if we have more time, because like I feel like that one just has the most to talk about. Just
It
because
covers
of
the
just
most
how
ground.
much. I just think I think it's good when it's different than like how a lot of like this expanded universe type stuff nowadays feels like fan fiction, but it's like I think it's different because the Wachowskis, like I said, were fans of these people. After this huge success of The Matrix, they're like, hey, we want to take the people that we are fans of and have them make our thing. It's not like it's almost like The Matrix was fan fiction of what the Animatrix would be or something like that.
Yeah.
In a way, I don't know how to put it, but like,
that's layered.
I think that's why it works so well, and why it feels so right is because like they knew what they were doing with The Matrix. They were doing it because of these people, not specifically all of the people that did the Animatrix, but like, they picked their influences to make their follow up side movie thing. So
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say earlier is what Nick said about the second opinion or like just a totally different aspect. Like somebody who had seen these, what TJ was saying too, somebody who had seen these movies as a fan and was a skilled enough director, like the guy who did Cowboy Bebop. I apologize for not remembering his name.
Shinichiro Watanabe.
Shinichiro. But like
Shinichiro, yeah.
Shinichiro. He like having somebody his level being, I mean, quote unquote, a fan. Who knows if he was or not? And like seeing it from that, and then giving the opportunity to like, hey, make a short film about this movie, anything you want. Like that opens up so many doorways, and that's exactly what these short films are, is just doorways into different aspects of the Matrix, and it gives it that universal open world feel that I feel like they were shooting for in the movies, but they could never really expand on. It just gives you like, hey, it's not just Neo and Trinity, like yeah, he's the one, but there's also other people and other like other stories, going on throughout the Matrix. It's not just them. Like people everywhere are getting affected by this.
That's a perfect That's a perfect thing to say, because one of my big complaints, and I other people, I don't take full credit or whatever for that. Like I know other people say this too, but like one of my biggest complaints with, in particular, Star Wars spin-offs and whatever, is it's like there's so much that you can do. It's literally a galaxy. And literally, if you go back to like including the games and the novels, thousands of years worth of time spanning and like story arcs and everything.
Yeah.
And yet all the fucking movies and all the shows center around where the original 6 movies are. Or, they like kind of go maybe a little before. And it's like there's so much you can do with like the Old Republic or like even before that. But like none of the new content is willing to venture outside of that. Right. And then there's this guy in the first like Animatrix or the first Matrix like spin-off thing, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna make something about the creation of the Matrix. The Wachowskis didn't do it, so I'm gonna do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And then they even do like the little, like even the one, I think it was Kid Story, the one that Neo was in Kid Story. What was the one that had Trinity in it?
Detective Story.
It was okay, yeah. So they branch out way before, way after, during, in a different section, but they also bring in Trinity and like characters from that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think what you were saying earlier about all these spin-off shows, I think that's like a big problem for a lot of those shows, where it's like you have this huge universe and you don't know. You only focus on these few characters, and I think that's to this thing's benefit that it's not jam-packed with Neo and Trinity. Like Morpheus isn't even in them at all.
No, I think you only hear Neo's voice. I think I don't even know if you see. Oh, you see
him in Kid
like,
Story
at the very end. Yeah, that's right.
And I think Trinity's in that one as well. They're both just like, we didn't think you'd make it, or blah blah blah.
Yeah,
they're both in it.
But that's it.
It's like, and I like for Star Wars, I feel like there's like those novelizations that I've heard. Some of those are really, really good, but I think at the end of the day, with that, it's like such a huge, behemoth of a product that they can have no calculated risks. It must be, this thing will be a surefire hit, and if they make a series based on like, I don't know who this character is, who's Darth Nutsius, like they don't know, they don't know who that is. And I think, the Animatrix came out at like the perfect time where that wasn't a thing, and they could just be like, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And I think like obviously they have the benefit of being animation and also like shorter, but it's like, yeah, this is a masterclass on how you expand lore in a very succinct and meaningful way. You get in and you get out, and it's not, 6 episodes of, because like you could watch just like mindless scenes of humans fighting robots in New York City, and here's our ragtag group of forgettable characters.
Are you talking about Resurrections now?
Maybe. This one has blue hair.
Oh fuck. Okay. Oh, but no, for fuck, dude. No, this one has blue hair is funny because I was fucking like, that's how you make it a unique character now, is just fucking make him, short blue hair, quippy. Yeah. Ooh, she does something different. That's very fucking modern. Good for you.
Okay, pause. I have to piss so bad.
Okay.
Pause. Or keep talking. I don't. Yeah.
This is
welcome to
there will be Teegs.
There will be Teegs.
It is about 8:52 p.m. on Sunday
I'd call
night.
it 9.
It is 9 p.m. on.
For simplicity.
This is now there will be Teegs. It is 8:52
This is now
p.m.
there will be Teej, and it is now 9 p.m.
8:53 p.m. on Sunday evening.
Still 9 for me.
It is about 23 degrees
January,
outside.
2022.
There's
that's a happy new year
to
all you all you teachers out there.
There's no such thing as the new year. Time is a construct
how's
by the
everybody
government to
feeling
control us.
about 2022? Do we think it's going to be another 2021?
Abide by the rules of time.
I think we all want to move on at this point.
Then we would never be late to anything.
Yeah.
So
anyways,
now I'm just gonna watch Resurrections
I've been
until
having
I kill myself.
Did you notice who was the voice of Captain Thaddeus in the final flight of the Osiris?
Oh, was that when? Because I know he was in a few. Was it Kevin Michael Richardson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know who else he is the voice actor for?
Not in particular. He's one of those guys who has like hundreds of credits.
I know because I looked him up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's Goro.
That's right.
He's also he's Skipjack in Transformers as well.
Oh, okay.
Because I looked him up for something like a while ago. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, this dude has been in the most random, like, sort of high class but not high class movies and animations, like voice acting. I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Oh, also Kevin Michael Richardson is also the voice of like the machine at the end of Revolutions that like takes Neo in to fight Smith.
Well,
he's the voice.
Oh,
so
are there some connections there?
There's a lot of like big name, like John DiMaggio's in it. Tom Kenny's in it. Tara Strong, Hetty Burris. I know I'm looking at the list, but these are all people that Olivia Dabo. I don't know how to say her name.
Pamela Adlon.
Yeah. I remember what I looked them up for
Bobby
recently.
Hill.
He was he voiced the Mahler twins in Invincible.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then he also did
Blue Brothers. Or like, I'm the clone, or no, you're the clone.
Yeah, and then also the monster version of Monster Girl. He voices that in Invincible as well.
Oh,
so
that's funny. I don't know if I knew that. I'm trying to like get because I have notes for the other ones. I just don't know how to like transition into them.
I'm curious which ones. I'm curious which ones that you were like meh about or you don't like.
Me?
Yeah.
Matriculated has always been my least favorite. That's the only one that I like dislike. I don't like it. And it sucks because on the DVD version, that's what it ends with, and it's just such a downer note to just end it with that. Before they go into the like simulation where they're trying to like train, where they have the like light bodies and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like it's including this time because it'd been a while since I'd seen it, and I was like, okay, this is all right so far. Like maybe this isn't as bad as I remember, but then it gets into that, and it's just like. It's fucking nothing. There's a dude like hitting the ball around the room. Ooh. And the whole idea of it is that the whole idea of that short is and I guess this is for the audience. So these resistance fighters or whatever, they capture a robot, a machine, and then they plug it into their own little simulation, and they're essentially trying to win it over, turn it good, make it like humans so that it'll fight for them. And the way that they do this is by like
making it extremely horny.
yeah, like making him watch them have sex, and then making it watch a guy hit a ball around a room, and then like chase people around, and then they like put it in like a Looney Tunes Target thing, and like it's just bullshit. I hate it. I really hate that short.
Yeah, it's and the animation is so fucking weird, and that like it's like it makes it worse that the animation isn't that great either.
It has a very dark implication for the ending too. Like,
oh yeah,
so
yeah,
so like
kind of fucked.
yeah, they don't realize that like the robot set out like a little. The one robot just shits out a little satellite guy, and then the little satellite guy basically alerts the other robots to their position, and they get attacked and like mostly killed. But like, just like the fact that like the one robot like disconnects and sees everyone dead, but the one girl, and he's just like, no, connects her back in, and then connects like himself back in, and then is just like, huh? It's just the whole idea is like, what if you made the Matrix for robots? Is like that's what it would look like for them. Is just like this, very shiny cybernetic looking weird thing.
I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. If a robot hooks up to the Matrix, it's like an acid trip for them, and that's what they were trying to go for. It's just like an insane trip, and everything's really nice looking, but it made sense, but it didn't. This was totally separate. When the robots, they kind of transformed, like they flipped and their butts were their heads or something like that, or whatever they did when they flipped around. And for some reason that stuck out, and I was like, that's stupid. I mean, if your more powerful version is your butt as your face, then just do that all the time and not just like, what was the point of that? There was no point. It was like, oh my God, they flipped and they're stronger now.
Yeah.
I think what's also like maybe I don't know if like if Resurrections like drew from any of these, but I do think it would be kind of funny if like the worst one of the bunch is the one that they drew inspiration for, because in Resurrections, as we'll get to later, there are a few of the machines that have been converted.
Oh yeah.
So it's
right?
like, of all of the ideas presented in the Animatrix, the one that you went with was, what if we convert the robots to be on our side?
It's funny because like, I think all of the shorts do, as far as I can think, conceptually it's a cool idea. I like the thought of like, hey, why not try that? If you're, maybe it's a good try. So like, I don't hate that they. God, I got a fucking hair caught in my mouth. I don't hate that they copied that in Resurrections. That's like, sure, that's a cool idea. It's just how they go about illustrating it in Matriculated that I hate. I just think it's fucking nonsense.
They did a very 10-minute long sex orgy version of how to make that an idea. Like, if they just would have made that a little bit more centered on the robots getting, awakened or like transformed into the human side, and less so on like what the humans do to transform them, it would have been a lot better, I think.
I wrote down, I had a note, Matriculation and World Record ugly as fuck. But like, I just like watching the people in those, especially Matriculation, I'm like, this is it's fucking ugly to look at. It's not good.
It's like every female character in those is like incredibly skinny and thin, except for like a Mondo ass, and then everything else is just like
seriously,
like a giraffe.
Like a fucking, like a 1/2-inch waist and then a fucking 30-inch ass. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But like the thing with World Record though is like the animation was almost the same style, where it was just everybody was really stupidly long and misproportioned. And moving. They were all like kind of like just like squids in the ocean when they moved. But World Record, the story for World Record is probably my favorite. Like, by far my favorite, just because of the concept of it. So in this, I guess to kind of explain, is it's this Olympian track runner, and throughout the story you see him, just participating in different track events, and throughout it he's like pushing himself to the absolute limit. And there's like commentators on the side saying like, oh my gosh, you can see his muscles just bursting as he's running, but he keeps going, and like he's almost fixing his muscles as he's running. And it's called world record because he's breaking this world record for some type of track sprint. And in the final-ish scene, he finishes the race, and he goes so fast and breaks so many human boundaries that he wakes up from the Matrix for like a split second. He like, it's a really cool scene where he's like punching his way through the finish line.
Yeah.
And as he's punching through the
cool.
finish line, he's also punching himself awake, and like you can see him just like gasp awake and everything. And like that concept is really cool. It's where if you push yourself to the absolute human limits and then go 10 steps further, you will push yourself awake from the Matrix. And I fucking love that idea. But just the animation and just how weird it is, it kind of is like cool with the story, but then it's just kind of like, it's like, it looks weird. But my favorite part about that is when he's starting to see the green like letters and numbers and everything, like the actual Matrix as he's running, and it's like splitting back and forth between reality, or I guess the Matrix and reality. And I don't know, I love, that's probably, other than Renaissance 1 and 2, I think, no, actually, World Record is probably my favorite out of all of them. Just story based. It's my absolute favorite.
I do, I will not take back what I said about the animation, but I do really like World Record. Like, that's one that, unlike Matriculation, despite how ugly it is, I really like World Record a lot. I think it's pretty great. It's maybe my, Second Renaissance is my favorite. I think like story wise, it's maybe like 3 or 4, but the top 4 or 5, I'd say the top 4, my top 4 are like super strong. So even though that's like maybe 3 or 4, it's still really good. My top 4 are really strong. My next favorite after Second Renaissance, the one I have at number 2, because I ranked all of them just for funsies. My second favorite is Program.
Okay.
It's one that's like, it's so simple. There's like hardly even a story, but I really like it because it's got a feel of like, it's just like, it's that feel of like watching an old spaghetti western or an old samurai movie where it's just like, it's just a really tense fight and you don't need anything more than that. And I think it's beautiful too. That's my favorite animation in the whole thing, which is funny because that one is done by the same guy that did World Record. I'm not sure if it's the same animation team because they do switch up animation teams, but I just think it's funny how it's like
the ugliest,
my favorite animation. Yeah.
It's the same director for both of them.
Yeah, I think I might be getting it confused with I think it's Mahiro Maeda. No, that's Second Renaissance. It's Yoshiaki. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It's not the same director, but it is the same animation studio. Not the same director, but same. Yeah,
that's crazy too, because like the Program looks just like it looks like a typical anime. It looks pretty solid. It looks good. There's nothing kind of like out there about it besides the character forms themselves. But there's nothing insane like World Record when everybody looks like the fucking inflatable man outside of car dealerships.
Well, I think that was also like an intentional style of the time, of like 2003, 2004. Same with like the music in a lot of these, which like I really like the soundtrack, but all that stuff, I just kept thinking of like SSX Tricky or like those types of games.
Oh yeah,
like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater era.
I see what
and, like,
you mean.
Those types of games, like the really long, very like highly stylized character models, and then like that, almost like trying to get like Dust Brothers Fight Club style music. In all of these, I was like, that's that time period. Like it's so perfectly distilled in that way.
Yeah, I think the music is it's just like the original Matrix, pretty much like that soundtrack, except for Detective Story, because they were just like, oh no, that guy, that's the Cowboy Bebop guy. Let's just do Cowboy
he can
Bebop
do what he
music.
wants. Let him do his thing.
He knows good music, so you do your own thing because that has its own sound. But
I do. So I kind of forgot about the program. That is also my second favorite
Is it?
because yeah,
Nice.
that was like honestly heart wrenching because I didn't see that coming, and
Mm.
in that where it's like it starts out with them. They're just like
And
they
it's
start.
good. It's good action too. I want to say that. Too.
Yeah, it is. It is
The-
really good combat. Like the back and yeah. The action in that is fucking awesome, and like I might be more fanboy about this one because I'm like back in my anime phase right now. I'm like in the midst of Naruto. So like I'm
Naruto.
Naruto. So like I'm like all about the combat right now, and so that was really cool, and also Demon Slayer. So like the swords, the katanas are really cool, but the story about like they build this story about them being kind of in love with each other or like very fond of each other while they're battling. Like you kind of get that backstory while they're battling, and then she ends up having to kill the guy that she's battling, and you feel a sense of like, oh fuck, like that hurts. Like she had to kill the man she loves. Like for some reason it was really like sad to me. And then she woke up, and you realize it wasn't. It was just a program. It was a simulation.
It was just a program.
It was just a program that she was in love with, and she wakes up and she feels like she just lost somebody she loves, but in reality, it was just a program. And you're like, oh fuck! Like you get the sense of how powerful the Matrix is with that one. I feel like
my little fan theory for that one. It's not like real, but like about where that falls in line with the other ones. I like to think that like, because he's all about like, you know, I took the red pill because of blah blah blah, but I want the blue pill. It's very like, you know, it's kind of like what it's Cypher to Trinity in the first one, right?
right.
So my little fan theory is that like after the Cypher incident in the first one, maybe the ships and like Zion were like, hey, maybe we need to start like making sure people aren't going to do that. So we need to like put these people in these simulations where they think that it's real and
fuck.
everything.
Yeah.
So that was basically testing her will to make sure like, hey, you're not gonna,
Yeah.
it's
'Cause
like a training program to be like, hey,
Yeah, because
don't
that
do
w-
that. Don't
that-
do a cipher.
that is what it was. Because like when she got out of it, her commander, whatever, said like you did a good job, you did the right thing. Like he was reassuring her that it was the right choice, and he was proud of her. So that it was a test. Like that's a fucking amazing concept or like fan theory of that's what it is they're testing people to make sure they're not like Cypher, to where if they get a taste of the Matrix when it's at its best, then they'll just stay in there. That's fucking awesome. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my favorite one, I think, of all of them was Detective Story.
Yeah, let's go into that one.
And I
'Cause
think
that's my 3.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my 3rd.
Mostly because I really liked the way it blended like cyberpunk and noir and obviously the Cowboy Bebop stuff. Apparently,
I should have worn my Cowboy Bebop shirt. Now I think about it. I was gonna say you should watch Cowboy Bebop,
I think it's like a good
animated show.
yeah. I think it's like a good example of like we were talking about again, like making these shows about like these like if they had made a Trinity spin-off miniseries where you just follow Trinity around and you get to see what she gets up to. I think this is like a really cool idea that it's a short about Trinity and you hardly see her at all. And all it does is build that mythology about her and like her back in her hacking days. Like I feel like if they made it now, it would just be scenes of her like hacking at a computer and like
I'm in.
kicking and punching people. But this is like much more like aesthetic and stylized of just like, oh yeah, the last few people that have tried to find her have either killed themselves or like they're crazy now and they're like, oh
Yeah,
I feel like they also do that, like that classic. It made me think of like Metroid a little bit, where they just assume that Trinity is a man, but it's like Samus is actually a woman, but it's like
yeah,
they don't expect it to be who she is.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that is.
it just does like really good world building, I think, without here it is.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
like I didn't like seeing Trinity and her, like what made Trinity Trinity, like how she was kind of a right hand man to Morpheus before Neo came along. You get that backstory. That is like that's why I think that's Detective Story. I didn't like as much, I think, as you guys did, but it was a solid, like, just cool look peek into pre-Matrix Trinity and what she was doing for the real world before Neo came along, or was that when Neo was already awakened, or was that kind of like before? Did they not establish that?
I think
assumed
Detective
that it
Story
was before.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
I think
all right.
it's before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
it
yeah,
also does something that I feel like a lot of the other shorts kind of do, or at least a few of them do. But I feel like Detective Story used it to the best effect. Oh, actually, Detective Story and Kid Story both do that. They show the ending as the opening, and then you circle back because like
yeah.
Kid Story starts with him falling off of the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and then you figure out how he fell off the roof. Same with Detective Story. It's him like looking at the camera, holding a gun, lighting a cigarette.
Occasionally end all cases.
Yeah.
By the way, also very Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, 100%.
The ending of, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
not exactly, and not like, I don't think this is like spoilery, but like very similar to the ending of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, they give
in
you,
a way, like shot wise and like the whole.
Yeah, because like in Cowboy Bebop, episode wise, they give you like the end of this whole story that the season is based on. They show the ending of it in the very beginning of the very first episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
okay.
like it's just a full wraparound.
Yeah.
I actually, when it got to the end of Detective Story, in my head, he's holding the gun up, and I went bang, because I swore that's what he said, but then it ended and he didn't say it, and I was like, oh, that's Cowboy Bebop.
That's crazy. I wish like I need to start doing that more. Is like looking up that type of shit while I'm watching it, so that I can appreciate it that much more. Because knowing that it was the same director of Shinichiro of like Cowboy Bebop that did Detective Story, that makes me appreciate Detective Story so much more. Because even when it started, I think the animation's cool because it's almost like that's the one that has kind of like a scribbly effect almost. It kind of feels
yeah.
Like I
Kid
know
Story has it too, but Kid Story's like more
fucking. Can we get into
scribbly.
Kid Story real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Fucking Kid Story's bullshit, dude. I hate that one. Like that's
Really?
like my least favorite. Yeah, because that's like
It's not
I
as
don't
bad
know.
as Matriculated.
The story is like the story is kind of generic. Like that would have been something that you would have thought of on your own. Where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe if he realizes these things and he kills himself, he'll wake up. That's kind of like a generic. I feel like that's a generic scenario of the Matrix. Is if you kill yourself, you might wake up, or you might just fucking get flushed down the human tube. But like. And the animation bothered me a lot because at least
There was a part where it really did.
Yeah, like
But most of it I was fine with.
from what I could see, they either used real life IRL pictures as the background, or they went super in depth with the drawing in the background. But then everything that was moving was super like just
like Play-Doh
stop motion type of fucking animation. It's like those flip books that you draw in and you flip them through, and that's what it's moving like. It just the contrast between the background and the foreground was so jarring that I was just like, oh, this is not great, and the story was mediocre, and I was just like, this is fucking boring.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does feel. Let me check if that is the same animation, as the detective one, because it is. Because Detective Story has the same vibe, but it's just like a little more ordered, a little more clean, and that helps. Because I agree, like I don't really like the animation in Kid Story. I again, like I don't dislike it. Like I said, Matriculated is the only one I don't like. I'll tell you though, the thing that hurts Kid Story for me the most is that, like, you know who the kid is, right? That is a person from the movies.
Is it
that
the
the
dude
kid
that was like the Neo
in the
fanboy?
neck?
Yeah.
Neo.
And knowing that it's him, I'm like, it makes me a lot less interested in it.
It makes it way worse. Okay, that's like I had like thought about that.
Sorry, Nick. I know you said you like that one.
Oh no, it's actually voiced by the actor who plays that character.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that they did that. But also,
Man.
yeah, it makes it worse that knowing it's the Neo fanboy that was like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
a kid." I think one of you said this before, but it was like, I'm a kid. Let me join your army, even though I'm too young, and give me all this responsibility and fucking just like a fucking no purpose story behind that guy.
Yeah.
Similar thing with Osiris too, because that is just a lead into. I think that's maybe my second least. It's like my number 2 from the bottom, because it's just like it's fine, but it's CG animation and like it looks decent like for the time. I'm not saying like it's bad, but it just like it's not as interesting to look at as any of the other ones. And also it's a lead into The Matrix Reloaded, which I'm like, well, I don't really like that movie, so
I think that was
that's the ship that like goes down and like gives out that's like what starts the action in Matrix Reloaded is the final flight of the Osiris, because they're like sending out that thing. They like found some like plant. I forgot exactly what it is. But that's like how the final flight of the Osiris ends. Is the one girl goes back into the Matrix and she's like, oh, I need to get a signal out to Zion to let them know that the machines are going to invade, and then they die at the end. And that's how Reloaded starts, with like the meeting with everybody, like all like the council members or whatever. It's because they're talking about that just happened.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that like
it's like kind of cool, but
the scene where they're fighting and they're like cutting each other's clothes off is very like Reloaded writing. It's very like
it is.
like, oh, I peaked too. That's very Reloaded writing. I feel like it just fits.
Kind of sounds like people are using the Matrix to smash.
It's like the Black
They're
Mirror
like-
episode where those two guys fuck each other and then they. Have you seen that episode?
Oh shit! It is like that.
Yes.
Striking Vipers.
Yeah.
This is how we convince the robots to be on our side. We let them smash in the Matrix.
Hey, we'll give you human bodies and you can experience sex if you fucking
Once you get that
join us.
robot pussy, you're in, you're done.
It's like, little do we know, robots are the horniest motherfuckers in the whole Zion universe.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah,
so Flight of the is it Osiris or what is
Osiris.
it?
Osiris.
Okay, that's honestly probably like fourth for me. Like I liked that one, even though it was cheesy and kind of weird. I do like that Beowulf CGI animation type thing.
Yeah. So I guess to break down the ones, like I think Second Renaissance 1 and 2, like. Again, stand above all. Like I said before, that's the crowning achievement. But then you have Program, Detective Story, and World Record. I think are great.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond, which like we didn't even talk about. I do think that's like the most forgettable one.
Yeah,
but I
there's
think
nothing
it's
to
fine.
it. Yeah.
I kind of lump that Final Flight of Osiris and Kid Story like together. They're like they're good. I don't really have any like major complaints. But you know they're better than Matriculated. You know what I mean? Like they're I don't have any major. They're fine, but like they're not in that upper tier. And then Matriculated is the bottom. Yeah, it's like Beyond. There's really not much to talk about Beyond, but
it's
other than it's
cool.
another neat idea.
Right,
Like,
it's cool
a
because
glitch.
they just kind of
Yeah.
place it in there. They're just like, hey, here's this like small story that doesn't really matter, but it's just a cool insight on the Matrix. Here you go. That is, it's cool. It's like
it's world building, but like it's not like super meaning. It's not like
Right.
world building where like we're only showing you this because it's going to connect to something later,
Yeah.
and
It
then you're
literally
going to feel
doesn't matter.
smart for being
Yeah.
able to recognize that as like.
Yeah,
You know, I
That's
saw
what-
Darth Vader and I clapped, like that kind of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, that's why it's like it's fine.
that's.
Uh,
I
Yeah.
think I didn't do this before, but now that TJ did it, I'll rank. So, I think World Record is number 1, Program is number 2, Renaissance is number 3, and then I'd say Detective Story, Flight of the
Osiris.
Final Flight of the
Osiris, and then Beyond, and then Kid Story, and then Matriculated.
All right. Well, this will be our review, and then we'll move on to Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely Detective Story, and then, I guess Renaissance 1 and 2. I don't know if you want to lump them together. but
I
yeah,
would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
Renaissance. So
Shit, that's
Detective
loud.
Story, Renaissance, Kid Story. Shit. What are the other ones? Matriculated is definitely at the bottom.
Program,
Ma-
World Record, Beyond.
Probably Beyond and then Program Beyond and then World Record and then Program and then Matriculated.
That's
okay.
crazy. See, like, I don't know. Like, I think it was the emotional aspect of Program and World Record were what hit me the most. Like, animation aside, just the. So I'm a notorious overthinker. So like, I overthink every single action in like in real life and in movies and animation and everything. So like just the stuff that's not implied in world record and program that I just thought of myself, I think might have affected my emotional grasp on the short films. So that's why I ranked them higher, I think. But
for me, it's like, I just, the reason program is so high is because I think it's fucking beautiful, and it's just a cool fight scene. Like, to me, I think it's just like, it's a stylized fight scene. It's nothing more than that. It's not trying to be anything more than, I mean, like, kind of. Also, the little, like, the way that I think it ties into, like, the main thing, but, like, I just think it's really stylish and cool. And when it's following up The Matrix, which is one of the greatest action movies ever made, it's like, yeah, you know, having solid action is a good point.
yeah, and I mean, saying it like that might be the one with like the most like one-on-one action in it. I feel like fight.
It might
action.
be, yeah. I think it is, yeah. But yeah, I'll. Are we? I'm comfortable doing scores. Like I know what I want to score this. So I guess I'll start. Yeah, I think I had seen the whole trilogy before I ever saw this, maybe. But I still like kind of lump this in, like, to me it's essential Matrix viewing to me, especially the Second Renaissance. Like, I think that is primo essential Matrix viewing if you're gonna watch the series. Especially to, like, I didn't even touch on the cinematography in Second Renaissance. There's so many images that just get burned into my brain, like the robot riding the horse, and then like later on the person in the wheel at it's like burning and stuff. Even just like the clouds darkening, an image that really sticks. Yeah, the every time it gets to that scene with the robot in the UN and it says like offer up your flesh, that's like, oh, it's like, it hits me every single time. It's very, very powerful. But yeah, every short, including Matriculated, I think conceptually hits. I think everything has really good ideas. Just I think some of them, mostly Matriculated, just don't really depict it well. But conceptually, I like all the ideas. As I said at the top, I think as a package altogether, it's a pretty great experience. I think it's an 8 for me. 8 out of 10. It's wonderful.
Sick. I am also going to give it an 8. I think, yeah, in contrast to Reloaded and Revolutions, I feel like
yeah, you can't. That's it's the second best Matrix movie. I think we can but easily.
Yeah, like no, number one, the first Matrix is perfect. It's untouchable. But I feel like the Animatrix basically took the ideas that the Wachowskis had and said, here's how to do them, but not in the way that you do them, which it's like exposition dumps and like I feel like the other two really struggled for how they wanted their tone to be, what they wanted to convey, what ideas they might have had and like couldn't necessarily convey them. I feel like the Animatrix does all of that. And again, I've said before, I think they have the benefit of being animated and they have the benefit of being short, which I think helps them a lot. Like you said, I don't think a lot of these would work as like long form pieces. But I think, yeah, in conjunction with each other, it presents a lot of ideas and builds the sort of Matrix universe in a way that doesn't feel like we're making an extended universe of the Matrix and here's like the Trinity miniseries and all of that. Like it just it fills in the spaces of the world in a really interesting way. And yeah, that's an 8.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just with the backstory and history that they give, just like how they open up the Matrix to how it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to feel. It's this big, wide open, endless universe of things happening, and then just how they make it feel big, but then they take these little pieces, these little stories of the Matrix and make them feel so emotionally impactful, whether they're relating to the main trilogy or not, they just make it so powerful. And with the fact that, I mean, like, how many? There's 9 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
7 or 8 out of 9 of them are just hard hitting, whether it be backstory or whether it be the in the moment character that you like. I think they're all equally powerful. Other than Matriculated, which was a good concept, just poorly executed, I'm gonna give this a 9 because I think with how I emotionally felt with some of these shorts, and then with the backstory that the other ones gave, and then the little peek inside of, like, Trinity, or like the backstory of how the machine started. It felt like it really filled in all the missing pieces that the trilogy didn't quite fill in. And watching this because I watched Matrix in order, and then I watched Animatrix after that, and then I watched Resurrections, and seeing Animatrix for the first time after seeing the trilogy a handful of times, it made me appreciate the trilogy, even though the second 2 are shit. It made me appreciate those a little bit more, knowing that there was all this included in it. So that's why I'm going to give it a 9, because it kind of uplifted my viewing of Reloaded and the other shit one.
Revolution.
Yeah, I want to say Resurrections. Why would they name it Resurrections or Revolutions? Get the fuck out of here.
I would have given it a 9, but then you guys told me that the kid in that was the kid from it, and then that took it down a peg.
Yeah, no, I
had that thought. I did wonder, but I was like, no, that's a little too on the nose. And then, oh wait, no, it actually is.
Yeah.
It's like the M&M's commercial. He does exist. They
do
do exist.
Yeah. Shit, what was I gonna say? Something. Oh, I was just gonna make a joke about like doing the true like in order experience. So you watch the Second Renaissance, and then you watch Detective Story, and then you watch The Matrix.
Oh fuck!
And then you watch like Kid Story, and then program, and then like I don't know, figure out some like
wild.
proper
proper order.
Shit.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I like thinking of that way of it, like enhancing the sequels, because like any sort of enhancing those sequels would be nice.
Yeah. No, that's what, when I was looking up the release dates for the sequels and how they were within, what was it, like 6 or 7 months of each other?
The second 2 is like the same year at least.
Think about that for like, okay, so the Matrix fucking blew up, biggest movie of the decade or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get the second and third one within 6 months of each other. Think about how fucking crazy that would be right now. Like, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, for real.
In 2003, I wasn't old enough to respect that, but like thinking about that now for like a movie that, like, if we got John Wick 1 and then like 4 years later we got 2 and 3 within the same year, I would fucking shit my pants. Like, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, same. Speaking of Matrix,
things that made you want to shit your pants.
Speaking of Matrix Revolution, no, how's I gonna say it? How about some Matrix New Year's resolutions? I don't know.
Speaking of resurrecting my balls on your face.
We have a break first, though.
How about a word from our sponsor with the Matrix Revolutions?
Nice.
Yeah.
TJ, this is now your time to do it.
Shit.
There will be Teej.
Oh, this is too much pressure. Welcome back once again tonight to There Will Be Teej. Man, it was somehow easier to do this when me and Dagan were talking over one another, and I literally couldn't even hear myself think. Somehow that made it easier. I don't even know if I was actually forming complete words when we were doing that, but I think I was for the most part, at least like 9 times out of 10. It was an Animatrix level of hits, I think most of the time I was hitting words and complete sentences. I guess. they're still not back. I wish I could just be as cool as Dagan, just kind of like end it after 30 seconds and be cool, but I feel pressured to keep talking until they come back, because I will feel weird if I stop talking and nobody else is back and it's just me sitting here in silence after I was rambling for so long. But if somebody comes back and be like, oh, yep, I'm good. So far it's working, but it doesn't really count if all I'm doing is just talking about what I am thinking in the moment, right? That's not very interesting, I don't think. I can't really, I should like pick a subject and kind of expound on that instead of just like literally talking about my thought process. Like this is brain spill. Like there is no filter. And he's back, so we can end the show. Thank you for listening to another episode of Throwback Teej. We also watched the new Matrix movie called The Matrix Resurrections, directed by Lana Wachowski. Just Lana this time. And it is the return. It could be also called The Matrix Returns. It could be The Matrix, this is an RLM thing, The Matrix Rebooted. There's a lot of RE things that you could do. And it continues the story of Neo and Trinity a while, we'll get into the nitty gritty, but a while after the end of the original trilogy. They are both back in the Matrix, or are they? Was the Matrix fake the whole time? No, it was. Wait, well, I guess it is. You know. All right,
just keep going.
There's a new generation, a new band of, I'll say it again, freedom fighters.
Yes.
Who work to pull first Neo out of the Matrix and, you know, reawaken him and his powers, and then later on Trinity and some new bad guys or new forms of old bad guys as well.
And one familiar friend.
Yeah, which that's the first thing I want to say is like
the French
and
friend?
we heaped. Okay, no, that was cool. Yeah, I was so happy to see that guy, and that was probably the most happy I was that the Merovingian was back. No, and like I feel like they were watching even though the movie was completed by the time we did our podcast on the original trilogy, but like they heard us, they're like, oh yeah, you think Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving are the best parts of these movies? Well, how about none of them, and we'll replace them.
How about
we
ruin
get the King of England from Hamilton in here, and we'll make him Smith.
I like I like Jonathan Groff. But if he wasn't playing Smith, I'd be more okay with it. And I'm glad he wasn't doing a Hugo Weaving impersonation, because he is no Bane. He is no Bane from Revolutions. They should have just had that guy from Revolutions come back.
I feel like at the start when he got awakened as Smith or whatever, I feel like he was kind of doing one, and then like halfway through, because I think maybe they were like, hey audience, do you know this? Do you recognize this? Yeah, because he kind of is like inevitable. I was like, oh okay, you're doing the.
They definitely tried to make him. I bet they were like, hey Jonathan, do your best Hugo Weaving impression, and he did it, and they're like, don't do that anymore.
It's like, but actually, okay, just deliver the lines normally now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get I'll rip the Red Letter Media Band-Aid off now. Or whatever. Just a very similar take I had prior to even watching the movie that one of them mentioned in their review. That how I got it was I first saw that IGN review, which was a 4 out of 10, and then another critic that I follow, who is usually he writes for IndieWire, so he usually is more of a critic of like popular blockbustery movies. He gave it a 9 out of 10. And I was like, oh shit, this is like the exact sort of dichotomy that The Last Jedi was getting. So I think this is going to be a very divisive Matrix movie. And then when I was watching it, I was like, wow, the movie is very The Last Jedi-y, because it's very self-referential and also like, you like, but it does it to such a degree to where I'm like, it's gotta be on purpose, but also it's just very confusing, because I feel like it's aware, like it's going like, hey, there's lines in it where it's like, people are stupid. They just want the same stuff over and over again, right? And that's what they're doing. I don't know how to compartmentalize it because I feel like it's being clever but also not. Like when it fucking like when they actually show clips from the original movie is when it goes too far for me.
Yeah.
I'm like
when your movie when you do that and your movie just makes me want to watch the first one again. You're like when you shouldn't put I feel like I've heard this, I don't know if I heard this in another podcast where like they're doing movie reviews but it's like never show a movie in your movie that the audience is going to be like, I just want to go watch that instead.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know about you guys, but it felt like such a gut punch every single time Lawrence Fishburne was on the screen as a flashback as Morpheus.
Yeah.
Every single time. I'm like, just cast him. Just cast him.
Yeah. And you said
same with Hugo Weaving. Every time I saw him, I'm just like, I want to go watch that one again.
Yeah, remember how good those guys are in the first one?
Yeah, well now you get fucking Jonathan Groff and fucking deal with it. And also kind of what's his name? Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh yeah. As the architect analyst.
Yeah.
As
the anal rapist.
Full on anal rapist. No, I think you said this before, but like when they asked Larry Fishburne why he wasn't in Resurrections, he said you'll have to ask the Wachowskis or Lana Wachowski, and that was his statement. But they still fucking use his face,
his
as
likeness,
flashback. Yeah, his likeness. Like how fucked up is that? That's so stupid.
Especially when they get to like. Also, I thought it was funny that like it's not Zion, it's Io, so you got rid of the Z and the N.
Yeah,
so
that was like
also,
the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, you just dropped the Z and the N. That's fucking dope. Like, oh, cool. Very original.
It's another deity. Like it fits in that sense. There is a goddess Io.
But it's like they even had the statue
in their defense, I guess.
Morpheus doing.
I know.
I was like, hey, he did other stuff than offer the red pill and the blue pill. Like, it just felt like such a reduction of his character to just being like this iconic cultural thing of like red pill and blue pill. It's like he did more stuff. Like you can make the statue of him doing something else.
Like with a katana, maybe. Cool. That's fucking what he did.
Yeah.
Like that's his likeness now. Is like he's just the guy you call when you're offering a red pill or blue pill. You like interrogate somebody and then you're like, all right, they're ready for the question. Call Morpheus right now. He needs to offer them these pills.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like the reason that it's very confusing too is because the Wachowskis in more recent years have made complete garbage, like Jupiter Ascending, and
they made that.
What was their other one? Yeah.
Oh shit.
They have some pretty like a almost Shyamalan type arc to their careers. So
Speed
when
Racer?
they do stuff, no, Speed Racer is great.
They made
Legitimately, Speed Racer is great. Yeah, they did Speed Racer.
Fuck
I was
me.
gonna say if they'd have stopped making stuff after Speed Racer, because I think that was after V for Vendetta. I think after Revolutions they did V for Vendetta and then Speed Racer, and then after that is where they started to go downhill in my eyes. If they'd have stopped after Speed Racer, I'd probably be watching, and like Resurrections is the first movie of either of theirs back since then. I'd probably be watching all this meta self-referential stuff, and I'd be like, "This is brilliant. This is great. They're on fire. This is so like this worked." But because there've been a lot of trash, I'm like, okay, but is it just trash? Is it just more Wachowski trash? I don't know.
Yeah, and another thing from the Red Letter Media review that I think was very succinct was that one of them said just like, before you can even make a criticism of it, the movie makes it itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like so for the audience, if you haven't seen it, Neo is like a video game developer at a high profile like video game studio, and he literally made a video game called The Matrix.
Yeah.
And and this is kind of like where it gets solved. It's like this is where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. When it was like at its most meta, it's like the guy who plays new Rogue Smith expanded expunged Smith is like his boss, and he's like, the studio. He literally says Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like, our parent company, Warner Brothers, is making us make a 4th installment in the video game franchise, and they're going to do it with or without us. So, like, this is our chance to make it our way, because even if we don't, they're going to do it, and maybe not in a way that you would want to do it, which is like, oh, I wonder what that's about. And so it's like, it's incredibly meta in that way. But then there's like the scene where they're pitching ideas, and like this writer's room of the most insufferable impressions of like millennial people. It's like the Matrix is all about making that gray matter go WTF.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like the popcorn girl from I Think You Should Leave. Like they all spoke in that style of voice.
Shit. Oh my god. I'm just imagining that as like, and
as long as they have kung fu and popcorn. Yeah.
See, it's funny because that montage scene was also my first, like, because I was really trying to be optimistic about this. I'm like, okay, I've heard it's not like doing super well, but I'm like, I want to give this an honest chance. And that was the first moment for me where I was like, I don't know, the montage, but it wasn't that, because that's the thing, is like that whole like the super cringy millennial stuff. I'm like, I was still kind of going like, okay, but is that on purpose? Are they purposely making this like cringy dialogue? The thing in that scene that pissed me off is that they included the lyrics to White Rabbit as it was playing. That's the Jefferson Airship song that plays. Yeah. It's the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
They use it in the trailer as well.
I was doing it for a day again. And I was like, cool. Oh, that's sweet. I love this song. It's in the movie. Cool. But then it includes the one pill makes you stronger or smaller. One pill makes you. I fucked up the lyrics. I'm like, damn it. Like, don't do that. And it kept going back to the lyrics. I'm like, that's the thing, is that was like that was too over the line for me.
There's a threshold of meta and self-awareness, and like kind of in some ways like giving the middle finger to one, Warner Brothers, and two, your like uber cringy fan base that's, you know, we need another Matrix movie, but like there's like factions of people that's like, I want it to be kung fu and action, and I want it to be, I mean, it's almost like they listened to our episode where we were like, does it want to be a kung fu movie? Does it want to be a philosophical movie? I was like, oh, we made all those points. We weren't like annoying nerds about it, but it feels like, you know.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
We have a podcast, so that already kind of puts us, you know.
Yeah.
But and like you said, it's almost like when it did the flashbacks, that was past the threshold. But like, you know, as a sort of like almost like meta satirical movie criticizing fan culture in 2021, I thought that was like, there were moments where I was like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing. Like you know, you're making a commentary on a certain aspect of our culture right now.
Right. Yeah.
But also, is it just Wachowski trash?
Right. That was seeing it as that, where it's like it rode the fence so hard that it stepped over a few times in the way that they were trying to make fun of their own creations.
Yeah.
If you think about it in the concept of it's not an actual Matrix installment, it's just making fun of Matrix fans. Like, it's a great movie. But then seeing it as a 4th installment and riding the fence like that, there are times where it's like, oh, that's like when they said like the Warner Brothers, it's like the middle finger to them. It's like, okay, they're self-aware. But then there are times when it's like, this isn't self-aware, this is just garbage.
Yeah.
That reminded me of something I wanted to say from the Animatrix. The whole like the sexy dojo fight in the Final Flight of the Osiris. All that did was, and like it, because they kind of redo the one from the first one with the new Morpheus and Neo in this. But I like to think of it more with the original one, just obviously. But like it just made me think of like, ooh, the Final Fight of the Osiris thing doesn't have, as even with all the like sexy like cutting off their clothes and like the peeking, does not match the sexual tension between Larry Fishburne and Keanu Reeves in that dojo fight. and then kind of in that same way the one in Resurrections too.
It just sexual tension
Larry.
is not matched. It just I'm basing my ratings off sexual tension, and just the first Matrix does it the best.
Yeah.
Well, it's I feel like I've seen this critique from other film reviewers too. But also, I feel like a lot of these movies are like very sexless in that way. Whereas I feel like it's more of a trend in modern movies, where I don't know if like they're looking at it more like we have a social responsibility to use our platform and not promote, women as just sexual objects. But it's like I feel like for a movie that is ostensibly about Neo trying to save his love interest, I just feel like all the characters it's flat. It's very flat in terms of like romantic arcs, like whatsoever.
I'll tell you where I think it's flat. I think it's fucking flat, and this is a travesty because as opposed to like all my praise for program in Animatrix, again, when you're following up the Matrix, one of the best action movies of all time, and you have boring.
It's so boring.
There's no standout. Like even in Reloaded and Revolutions, there's at least like a scene or some like part of the fights that you're like that stands out and that is memorable. There's nothing in this one. The action is so boring.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. That's like one of the biggest letdowns is that the action is just such a letdown. I don't know.
Yeah. That's like I think in it was it Reloaded or where they had like all the Smiths. The scene where Neo, where Neo grabbed the fucking pole out of the ground.
The pole, that's Reloaded.
That's Reloaded. Okay,
the playground fight.
Yeah. So all the real, actual, the non CGI parts of that scene, I fucking love. Honestly, like I fucking love that scene more than any other scene in all three Matrix because of the realness in the fighting when it was not CGI. I was just thinking about the
choreography
thank you of that, like, and I think Travis said like it was the guy who worked on Jackie Chan films who helped with those, and like that felt fucking awesome. I fucking loved that. Even when it got into the CGI, I was still like, okay, this is shitty, but it's fucking cool. But yeah, with Resurrections, it was like there wasn't even anything close to that level of like, even the worst Matrix films. There wasn't anything close to that level of action. Like, yeah, there was the part where they're running through town and the fucking the Smiths were using themselves as bombs to like jump out of buildings and everything.
That part was kind of cool.
That was like the peak. That was the peak of like their best action, and that was still kind of like all right.
That's the first big laugh.
Like mono, like one-on-one fights. There's nothing good like that.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just, okay. Yeah, but like that scene, I still was like, oh fuck. Like when they started just jumping out of buildings and dive bombing, I was like, oh.
The guy got up in the bed, and she's like, "Where are you going?" And he
out of nowhere, she just jumps out the window.
It's so good.
Oh my god. Yeah, that show was awesome.
Every time they hit the ground, they didn't make it too grotesque, but you would see like the little Matrix, the green.
And they actually did kind of make that pretty, like the sound and then just the motion of a body hitting the ground. They made that pretty. It was like, like every time it would happen, I would like cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I did like that bit. Yeah, but it was more like I don't know. I still wouldn't like count that in the same way that like
right, the one-on-one
fights.
Right. Yeah, like the this guy versus this guy. There's none of that.
Or like group ones. Like the part where I gave up on the action was the scene with all the exiles, with like
where the Frenchman,
where the Merovingian shows up, and he's like, aha, now fight all my exile gang, and it's like, okay, cool, this feels like the first real like action scene, and the whole time I was like, what's going on? What is even happening?
It's very modern in that way, where I feel like that's how every action scene and everything is shot now, where it's like shaky cam, you see a couple things and it cuts away to something else, and then you get shaky cam, you see a couple hits and then it cuts away to something else, and it's like there's there's no style to it at all.
Right. And that's like that's what's so shitty about it. Yeah, because it just felt like I was amped up for that. Once the Merovingian came along and you see all these exiles surrounding them, I was like, this is where the Matrix is going to be the Matrix. This is like the fight type of thing. And then it just fucking fell short. And I was like, yeah, this for me. Yeah. I was on the fence because I went in, like, I tried to stay away from reviews, but I saw, like, you got really low reviews and then some people rated it really high. Mm-hmm. And I understand that because, you know, it's they do a fucking ton of, like, fan appeasing stuff where it's, like, a ton of callbacks, a ton of, like, you know, you saw this stuff in the first one, you're seeing it in this one now. But I was on the fence, and the scene that made me fucking hate it, or not hate it, but like go below fucking 5 out of 10 was when Niobe fucking God bless Jada Pinkett Smith's soul, when she was when she was talking to the fucking group about this mission. Like they explain the mission, and the next scene is her like pacing back and forth like you see in generic fucking action army movies.
And she's like moment.
Yeah, and also her old person voice was so stupid.
I kind of thought that too.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It was like Winona Ryder and Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. That's why I was thinking it was like really bad old people voice.
Yeah, and she was like, this is the craziest mission I've ever heard of. Like, that's not how you start a pep talk for a fucking like an army suicide mission. And then when blue hair girl like not even halfway through, like a few lines into the monologue, she stepped up, and Jada Pinkett Smith was like, she was like, "What are you doing?" And blue hair girl was like, "Volunteering," and Jada Pinkett Smith was like, "No, you're the only one I'm making do this." I was like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up!" Like, she volunteered, she's gonna do it. You don't have to make a point of saying I'm making you do this. And then when the rest of them step up and she's like, "Are you out of your minds?" I was like, that's not a way to fucking treat a whole squadron of people that are risking their lives for you. You say, "Are you out of your minds?" You should be like, "That's what I like to see." But instead she's like down talking them, like, "Don't fucking do this. You shouldn't be doing this. You're all dumb. You're all fucking stupid." I was like, that was like their peak turn moment when everybody was like for Neo and for the new Rise, whatever they were doing. And it just, again, fell short. I was like, this isn't a great speech. This isn't a great turn-of-the-moment thing.
Mm-hmm. I guess to counterpoint that, and I guess to play a little bit of devil's advocate for Niobe, this extends out to like the entire plot of this movie. When you break it down, I remember pausing it at one point in time, and I had like 27 minutes left, and I was like, okay, so this entire movie is just about him getting Trinity out. That's all it is.
Yep. I want to get.
So it's like, Niobe was right to be kind of pissed because, like, oh, you.
That's the whole. It was.
The whole thing is just you trying to get one person out. That like otherwise, okay, well, you're happy as an individual, but in terms of like big picture for IO or like the machines and etc. doesn't really like there's no grander plan beyond that to like this is how we're gonna, and then once Trinity's back we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. It was just Neo wanting to save one person, and Niobe's like, we grew a strawberry, bitch, like you're gonna destroy all of this shit.
That's I almost touched on that when I mentioned the action as like the biggest thing. I really think that even more so than the did I say acting? I meant action.
With Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
Acting or action?
No, that was it. Like, I was not, like, into it, but I was still into it. For, like, half of it, roughly half of it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I like the whole, the mystery of, like, what's going on? Why is Neo back in them? What is this? I was like, somewhat gelling with the meta aspect, somewhat not, but I was like, okay, it's not ruining it for me. I'm still in it. But when it turned into like just a rescue mission for Trinity, like same thing. I was like, this is the movie now. This is it. Like, I was like, what's it? That's the thing that more than anything else made it feel pointless. Like, why make this movie?
Yeah.
And it's just, that was the biggest bummer, that just like nothing. And then how everything about the climax too, like everything. Like, one, I have a few, so don't jump on answering it, because I have a few things I'm gonna bring up right now. One, why does Smith turn around and help them at the end? Two, why does the analyst, Neil Patrick Harris, why does he just like, he has all these like godlike powers, and then like they punch him, and then he's powerless essentially. he's can't do anything for some reason, because then they just show up at the end and they're like, hey bitch, you're gonna stop fucking around. And then also like just it's not really a question, but like I am more than okay with like the whole passing the torch. Not that it was like fully that, like it was still Neo too, but like I just thought that was so sloppily done, and just it like, why are they like retconning this? Like now Neo he's not the one anymore. The entire fucking thesis and everything for the original movie and the trilogy, now he's just one of the ones.
Yeah,
that was so aggravating. Like,
they could have,
I like Trinity, but like, god damn, that was so dumb.
The only thing that could have made it worse is if they had like a Whedonism from someone in the ground floor when he sees Trinity flying, and they're like, she can fly now, and they're like, yeah, she can fly now.
Yeah.
I also, again, the fact that like they tried to like make the converted machines like cute. I was like, oh, you want a Groot? That's what you like it headbutts Neo like it's a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, literally my last note is, I can't believe they made a whole movie about the least interesting aspect of the Matrix, which for me was always
the
romance between Neo and Trinity. That was like the least interesting thing.
And
then
again, is that a super self-aware thing? Like they knew that was the least interesting part, so they made a whole fucking movie about it, or what?
I don't know.
Yeah. How far down the rabbit hole does it go?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like with the fucking Smith all of a sudden turning around and helping them, that was I think that happened after the Niobe speech, so I was already on like the fucking I hate this movie phase. And then that happened, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, he literally just shoots a few people to help them out, and then he's fucking gone. And then you're like, so he helped them to kill one person, and then he's back against them? For like a split second, he helped them, and that was it. He was with them for a split second. It felt like they only made that happen because they ran out of reasons when they were writing. They're like, okay, so Neo and Trinity are in this situation, and how do we get them out of it? And they were like, we're fucking writer's block. Let's just make Smith do it. And then Smith does it, and they're like, all right, let's make Smith bad again. It was like,
like ruining the character of Smith, who is like, like he's such a compelling character because he is like the most evil program in this entire Matrix of bad programs.
Self-centered evil.
All he wants is complete oblivion. Like, he wants to kill everything.
Yeah, he wants to make everything himself in order to crush everything. Like, he's the most self-centered, evil fucking villain there is. And then all of a sudden he has this moment of, I'm going to help them real quick. Like, you could see it as, all right, he's killing these people in order to make sure that he is the one who destroys Neo.
I guess.
But the way they portrayed it in the movie was more of like a, I want to help you because I want to, not because I have this big picture goal. It was more of a, I want to help you because,
maybe
I'm just nice like that.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. And he was like, oh, well, you're trying to take down the analyst who's kind of harshing my vibe. So like, I'll help you. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. But it was just it was so misconstrued the way they did it in the movie. If that's what they were going for, it just felt misconstrued.
I feel like a lot of the logic in this was very confusing and confounding, and like didn't really make a ton of sense. Which, like, and I think they sort of came to this conclusion with the Red Letter Media review as well. But like, as a Matrix movie, it's not great. It's kind of boring, and at the end of the day, it's a 2-hour movie about like a very simple thing. 2.5-hour movie about basically Neo rescuing Trinity, and that's all that there is.
Yeah.
But I think, and it sounds like I'm going into wrap-ups. I think the satirical element, if you kind of project that onto it a little bit, if you project onto it like that satirical element, I think it can be effective in that way of like making a broader commentary about fan culture, Hollywood culture, that kind of stuff. But it's like, but then I don't know. You don't have to make a movie about. I don't know. It's so hard. The movie makes every judgment before you can make it. It makes all of those criticisms and like critiques in like the first half.
It's frustrating because it's too confusing about if it is self-aware or not. Like, again, going back to The Last Jedi is all about like it's giving you, it's like giving you like hand-aid. I'm trying to think of like what the metaphor is, but like an olive branch type thing of like, hey, remember this from the original trilogy? And then it goes, nope, suck it, nerds. And then Luke throws the lightsaber over his shoulder. He's like, fuck you, I don't care. And that's what The Last Jedi is all about. Like, they even like say it, like Kylo Ren's whole thing is let the past die, kill it if you have to. And like in a way that's kind of what this is saying too, but also give it a fucking blowjob as you cut its head off type thing. Like the ultimate form of seppuku.
Jesus. the reverse Blumpkin, the decapitation blowjob.
Seppuku bukkake. Seppuku.
There you go.
Seppuku Blumpkin.
Well, yeah, because like, because it wasn't in like The Last Jedi that it was like even at the end after like they say all that shit about letting the past die, like they kill Snoke, who gives a shit, like,
who the
but
fuck
then at
is
the
Snoke
end,
anyways?
Yeah, but even at the end, wasn't she like, my name is Rey Skywalker?
No, that's the next one.
My name is who?
Oh,
don't put that on The Last Jedi. Yeah,
my name is Rey.
No, that's the thing is then the next one. Disney was like, oh wait, no, we're just kidding. We like Star Wars. Don't yell at us anymore.
We're getting off track. Right. This is too. We could do this another time.
Well,
with the Star Wars trilogy.
but to me, this is all relevant to Resurrections.
Yeah,
I don't know what is like the general fan reaction. Like, I only know like big like critic reactions. I mean, I guess I'm a fan and I don't like it, but I guess I differ than like general fan base, because the general fan base again for The Last Jedi is hate, right? People are like, it's the worst Star Wars movie, but I think it's pretty good. I don't love it, but I think it's pretty good. And I appreciate all of that meta stuff that I'm talking about, and just it's so messy in this one that I don't know if it doesn't work on the same level as that. It's just, I recognize it, but I'm like, but do I count that as a pro or con? Because I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do with it.
Right. Like, I've even from people, just like friends of mine that I've talked to about it, it goes either way. Like, there's people that I know that like it a lot that would give it close to a 10, and there's people that fucking hate it that would give it closer to a 2 or a 3. And I feel like it's across the board for the Matrix fan base. It's up and down. Like, it just depends on where your mindset is. If your brain is triggered by I like these flashbacks, or I like these callbacks, you're going to like it more. But if you're more so of like, I've seen this before, I've seen this 100 times, like I know what's going on, and give me something new, but you're just giving me a fucking love story again, then you're going to hate it. So it just really depends on the mindset of the person. I feel like the whole fan base is going to be up and down, not just the bigger critics. I feel like the whole fan base is going to be up and down with it.
Yeah. For justifiable reasons, I feel like in both camp, really, you can point to different examples of things and be like, oh, well, this is why I think that they were trying to be super meta and having a commentary. And then you're like, well, this is why I think that their plot was bad and their story didn't make sense and blah, 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 blah. And realistically, at the end of the day, we're talking about the 4th installment in a series of a movie that never needed any sequels to begin with, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah, seriously.
For real. About that.
You know what movies do need more sequels, though?
Bill and Ted.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh shit. Yeah. Hey, I thought the last one was pretty decent. I thought the most recent one was pretty good.
No, that was a serious
I've seen like the
inquiry.
first three, and then
I want more pirates. I like all the pirates movies.
Yeah.
So the Wachowskis did Jupiter Ascending and Cloud Atlas, which, if you look at them in a broad sense, are the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Before we get into wrap ups, I was gonna say let's do reverse, I guess, just for funsies. So like Dagan, you go first, and then Nick, and then me. But before we get into that, I just wanted to know, I felt the most hatred at this movie in that fucking Rage Against the Machine cover. It was fucking cancer. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad.
But like that band that was trending on Twitter, and I remember now why it
Who's
was
the
like
band? Or what's the
Brass
band?
Against. She pissed on that dude's face.
Whose face?
Wait, what?
The lead singer of that band. It was going viral on Twitter. They were playing at a show, and like I don't know if a dude had a sign that said "Pee on me," but like they showed it in the Red Letter Media review, and I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
The lead singer of that band, this woman, they brought this guy up on stage, and she literally like squats over him, pulls her underwear down, and pees on him.
What the fuck? What band is this?
Cool.
Brass Against.
Well,
They're
what
like,
the fuck?
That's cool. Well, she fucking sucks at singing
It was
Rage Against the
awful.
Machine songs too.
I hated it. It was so
Jesus
bad.
Christ. I want to go to those shows.
I mean, like Zach De La Rocha, yeah, he could pee on my face maybe, but like not this chick.
Not this
like,
lady.
Oh my god,
Dude,
it wasn't just the vocals, but it was just everything. The mixing was like
It was bad.
and like
When I heard that, I knew, like, I was like, someone's gonna say something about this. I was like, I know someone's gonna bring this shit up, like, just because of how much you had referenced the fucking music before. I was like, just solely Rage Against the Machine being covered. I was like, someone's gonna say something.
Yeah.
it was bad.
It was like they were pissing on the legacy of this movie.
That's why.
Yeah.
Really.
That's why because they knew about that. They knew about that lead singer pissing on somebody. So like, you know what? Since we're pissing on this legacy, let's just get somebody who actually pisses on people.
All right,
Okay.
Dagan, hit us
All
with
right.
it.
Yeah,
So-
start us off.
Okay, so there's a few things that I want to bring up. They missed a huge opportunity with the Neo fanboy that was also in featured in the Animatrix. Huge missed opportunity with bringing him back as like a high commander. Like, why didn't they bring him back? Like, why didn't they recast him? I'm okay with it. But huge missed opportunity. Like, obviously,
I could have hated this more. Why didn't they bring him back?
Right, yeah. Like, honestly, like, if you think about it, in that world, he's such a Neo fanboy. He would honestly just work his hardest to work his way up the ranks and
Like
become somebody important.
Like there was that one guy on the crew that said he was like, "Oh, I'm a big Neo. Yeah, I'm a Neo file." Is that what he said? I don't know.
Neofist or something like that. Where they had a whole like religion about Neo or some shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that. Like they didn't bring him back at all.
Yeah.
Another thing was, I think TJ, you called this before, was you were questioning, is Morpheus going to be a program this time? I think you said that in the trilogy review. You were like, is Morpheus going to be a program? And he is. He's all a program. They don't explain that at all. They don't explain, like, they didn't even do like an Oracle thing with it. They didn't say
he's a mix of Morpheus and Smith too, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
what
he's
the
like
fuck?
an
What
agent.
was that? Like, he was just both like that. Okay, yeah. So they just kind of gloss over that to where it's like, yeah, this is Morpheus now. He's a program only. He's not an actual person. We're not going to tell you what the fuck happened to the actual Morpheus. So there's just like those. I'm not going to count those against the score. But overall, it was like there was too many callbacks, including the flashbacks to the original Matrix. There's too many, like, it felt like fan pleasing, crowd pleasing moments where they were like, oh, we got to have this in because people are asking for it. There was those little moments of shining where they were like, this is self-aware, like the FU to Warner Brothers, or the my favorite part was the concept of Neo had been writing the Matrix the whole time as a video game. I love, but I hate that, to where it's like that kind of downgrades the trilogy if you think about it in a sense of like he was writing it the whole time, but it also improves the movie by itself. The whole thing where it's like you think this is going somewhere, but then it ends up it's just a Trinity rescue mission. You don't get to see Neo fulfill any of his powers as the One. He literally doesn't hold a gun. He can't even fucking fly. Trinity fucking carries him out at the end. Like that type of shit.
I think he does this a lot. That's like all he does.
Like it was very letdown if you're a fan of the Matrix, the first one. Neo is the One, the super powerful being, and you watch this and he's just some fucking schlub that programs. It's just a huge letdown. And then there was so many letdowns. There were so many like moments where you're like, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be what makes me like this movie, and then it would just fucking fall short. So with the few moments that I liked, and then the big handful, double fisting handful of moments that I was just eye rolling at, I'm gonna give this a 4.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one's tough to review. I think overall I didn't particularly care for it, but also as I've learned, especially after watching the Animatrix, the only two that I really like are the first one and the Animatrix. Like everything else is like, has its moments and is mostly forgettable. This one I feel like has less than 5 like moments for me, and the most of it is just like it's hard to review because you can't tell what is like this sort of meta commentary and what is like this genuine, we thought this would be a good idea for a 4th Matrix movie. And I think plot-wise, it doesn't super hold up. It doesn't really do anything to advance the plot. But also, I've seen what they do when they try to advance the plot, and it's CGI mechs fighting in Zion, and I don't care. So I was like, maybe this is the good. You know, it could have been a lot worse, really. It could have been way worse. They could have tried to, I just thought it was so funny. There was like a moment where like they go back to Io, and then Neo gets put in jail. And then he's got a balcony, and then they just pick him up and take him away, and then they come back, and she's like, "Okay, now you can leave." It was just the worst parts of the Matrix movies. I feel like were Zion, and then they get to Io, and it's just like I feel like they had to throw that in there just to see what everyone else is doing.
Sure.
But I feel like for the most part, in a positive corner, it did take place mostly in the Matrix, which I think is the most interesting aspect of the movies, is like the Matrix world.
Sure.
So for me, I'm sitting right at a 5. It's like kind of split down the middle. I guess it was going to be a 4, but the people dive bombing and exploding on the ground tickled my lizard brain, and that bumped it up a point. So that's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm right in there too. It is tough to settle on a number. Yeah, I said, I was more or less like cool with it until I realized that it was just about saving Trinity. That was it. And then just the climax didn't come through for me. I like Jonathan Groff. He's fine. I really like Yahya Abdul-Mateen, the guy that they had play Morpheus.
Yeah.
But all I'm thinking of is Larry Fishburne and Hugo Weaving. And like as much as I like the new guys in other stuff, like Mindhunter is a great example of like Jonathan Groff is pretty great in that show.
Yeah.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen is good. Watchmen. They have their good stuff. And I even like Yahya Abdul-Mateen's Morpheus, but not in comparison to the original. Like, you can't. I think Jonathan Groff doesn't bring anything to Smith, but I think Yahya a little bit. Like, there's some bits. Boring as shit action. It's like it's the robot Zion fight every time there's an action scene in this one. It's 2.5 hours. And like the other Matrix movies are all over 2, but they're not 2.5 hours. But this one feels twice as long as any of the other ones. Oh my god, it felt like such a slog to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those numbers. I was gonna give this. I was thinking 6, but then it got to that Rage Against the Machine song, so I'm giving it I'm giving it a 4. No,
goddamn.
The song knocked it down 2 points.
No, I was. It was really 4 or 5. It's close, but that said, like even with all that, and maybe it's just because I've only seen it once, but like if I was forced to watch this or any of this, no, I mean I would watch Revolutions for sure. That's of the live action sequels, that's by far my favorite. And that's just because I like, the other ones I dislike. That's the only one that I like. That's why it's by far my favorite. I still might watch this one before the others, but again, that might just be because I've only seen it once, and like, maybe I'd need to. I don't think that I'll watch it a second time and be like, wow, no, this is great. I really like this, but
give it a decade and it'll get the Phantom Menace treatment in a decade, and it'll be revolutionary and amazing.
Yeah,
that's what I've been thinking is like, okay, I feel like they're definitely gonna make at least another one, and that's what I was thinking is like, okay, probably. I might appreciate this more after I see what they have in mind, but still, this is gonna be low. With that, the acting in this, like Jonathan Groff, and then Yaya, like I fucking love them. Like Yaya was in an episode of Black Mirror. He was in that Trial of the Chicago 7. He was in that new Jordan Peele movie, Candyman. Like I fucking when I saw he was in this, I was really excited because I like him as an actor. And Jonathan Groff, I've only seen him in Mindhunter, but I fucking loved him in that too. So I was super hyped. But then realizing what they're doing in these movies, it just, as characters, it ruins whatever they do as acting. It just ruins it because they're just replacing these fucking monumental characters. So it's like, these are great, like up and coming, like in the moment right now, they're great actors, but they can't fulfill these roles. So like the acting was great, but it's just like, the character that doesn't fit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's wrap up. But I just wanted to know how, like, did we mentioned Blue Hair Girl like in passing? Did we talk about like any of the new characters or new additions? There's like nothing. No. I would say there. Bugs is the only one that like stands out in a way, but like she's whatever. But okay, cool. Hey, Matrix, we're done with the Matrix. Now we only ever have to watch the first one in the Animatrix ever again. Okay. So for next week, hey everyone, it's your co-host TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese here, just dropping in to let you know that while I did announce a movie and a special guest for next week's episode, sadly because of some technical difficulties, we won't be releasing that. It just got too messed up. So which is a big bummer, because we had a lot of fun making the episode with the guest. That movie was Green Room. If you're interested, it's a big recommendation from all of us, but we're not going to be able to do the episode on it. So instead, we're pulling another episode from the archives, which is House of Flying Daggers from 2004. So watch that if you want to be caught up for the throwback episode for next week. And like we did last time we had to do an archive episode, we will still be doing an impromptu stream where just whoever's available is just going to be hanging out on stream. We'll be talking about whatever. Had a lot of fun with that last time, so I guess on the upside, it'll be cool to do another one of those again. But yeah, sorry again about messing up the episode. We're going to try to have that guest on again soon with a different movie, because we think it would be weird to do another episode on the same movie that we did. But yeah, so that's it. Just want to let you know. Back to whatever's left of the show. Thanks, bye. We have socials on all the major social apps and stuff like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we also are we stream these every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch and YouTube, and they are released same time in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others. Please rate and review, I guess, on those. Spotify just, I don't know how recently, but I just recently realized that you can now rate podcasts on Spotify. So
Hell yeah.
Do that. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the normal housekeeping shit.
House shit.
Fuck
As
me.
always.
I don't know. I've completely drawn a blank on all these the last couple times. Like, I never think about what I want my outro to be. Which movie do I want to pick? Ooh, okay, no, I think I got it. I am your train man 2.0 Frenchman. TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
As always, I am your Lil Machine forehead nuzzling machine who wants to smash in the metaverse. Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch.
Was that
and
like
me as always?
Is that like the Animatrix one and the Revolution?
Yeah.
And as always, I am your blue-haired character that doesn't really fucking matter at all. Teegs, a.k.a. Teegs.
Sweet. All right. Bye.
Bye.
The fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.